Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Hello, Congressman. Welcome to the show. What are your thoughts on the bill that somehow made it through the House with Republican support yesterday, infringing on our Second Amendment rights?
Well, there's so much to say about this, but I think what people need to understand is two things, two very important things. Number one, this bill would not prevent Uvalde or Buffalo or any other mass shooting. It just won't. It won't do that. It's not designed to do that. But what it will do is the second point, and they revealed it. When I say they, I mean the Democrats revealed it in the hearing last week and in a hearing in a committee I sat on just yesterday. So I was in two committees that this bill was kind of going through. They basically have admitted that they want to go after your weapons and take away your Second Amendment rights. And they'll blow up the filibuster in the Senate to do that. They'll pack the Supreme Court to do that, because ultimately, as Joe Biden has said, they're going to come after your 9mm handguns, and as well as your AR-15s. These guys don't understand the difference between a semi-auto and an auto, and they don't understand guns. They don't understand gun owners. They don't understand the Constitution. But the 2 points: number one, this would not have prevented any mass shooting at all, and number two, their goal is ultimately to come after your guns altogether.
You know, the left likes to say when it comes to abortion, no uterus, no opinion. Well, I like to say no gun, no opinion. And we all know so many of the people advocating for these unconstitutional infringements don't even own firearms. They don't know anything about how these guns work or how many hundreds of millions of semi-automatic weapons are in the hands of Americans, law-abiding citizens who exercise them with caution and care and who use them to protect their homes, protect their families, and frankly to protect against a potential foreign invasion that the left and some people on the right seem to want to stir up with Russia. So I'm a little, confused. They say, some of these mass shooters were 18, but wasn't the Las Vegas shooter, who's the biggest mass shooter in U.S. history, wasn't he over, 50 or 60 years old? Wouldn't have stopped that type of crime. It seems to me that there should be reinforcement in our schools, armed guards, armed teachers. Was there anything in this bill to actually address the problem instead of just going after law-abiding citizens and trying to turn them into criminals?
No, in fact, Joe Biden specifically said, his spokesperson said specifically, they don't care about hardening schools. I mean, you have doors, you have single points of entry, and they poo-pooed that. But the reality is, you'd use it at banks, you use it at apartment buildings. We use it at the United States House of Representatives. You use those type of hardening of impacts to provide safety. The second thing is, you provide deterrence. You have people who are armed, who are trained. We're not going to give out willy-nilly revolvers to people. We're going to, people who want to carry weapons, who are trained and who are armed. They provide a deterrence and security and safety. I mean, some places do this already. Utah does it. Some places in Texas do it, and you're safer, because what happens is, we love the police. We depend upon the police. We want them to be there. But when you need them in seconds, they'll get there in minutes, and through no fault of their own. That's just the way it works. And you have to be able to defend yourselves. And there was nothing in there to do that. They didn't talk about the societal problems. They didn't talk about the fact that you have these people were basically sending signals all along, and there's already in place in every state an ability to get somebody who's a danger to themselves and others, committed if necessary.
Mm-hmm. And one common denominator we've seen with both Buffalo and Uvalde was both of them had expressed their intent online to commit a mass shooting. It's not the age that's the common denominator, it's the intent. And we also saw it with Parkland. There was multiple instances of that deranged murderer posting online that they intend to commit a mass shooting. What if we just passed a law that said, hey, if you write online you want to commit a mass shooting or a school shooting, you can't own a gun? I think that's something we can all get behind.
Well, I mean, look, in the Parkland case, not only did you have an individual who was signaling everywhere and was training, you actually had a neighbor who turned them into the federal police apparatus, and still nothing was done. And so the point of this is, if it doesn't make any difference whether you have these laws or not, they just went unnoticed. I mean, nothing happened here, and it's not going to change. And the other thing too, this is such an important point. People don't understand that a criminal is a criminal because they choose to disobey the law, and so you can bind the hundreds of millions of law-abiding citizens and say, we're going to bind you to all this, and people will try to do it because they're law-abiding citizens. But the criminals will disregard those laws and commit their crimes anyway.
Exactly. I am of the belief that we should be repealing gun laws to comport with the Second Amendment explicit text that says shall not be infringed. Sure seems to be pretty infringed these days. But Congressman Biggs, thank you for standing up for our Bill of Rights in D.C. We need a lot more people like you in the Freedom Caucus, and I truly believe that this fall there's going to be those people joining. So thank you, Congressman. Keep up the great work.
Thanks. You too.